He didn't mean to hit her. That was the first thing Lieutenant Carter Hayes would replay in his mind for years to come. But in the moment, in the chaos of the war room where tempers were running hotter than the sand outside the base, his hand moved before his judgment did. And the woman he struck didn't flinch, didn't step back, didn't even raise a hand to defend herself. She simply looked up at him with calm, dangerous eyes, the kind of eyes that warned a man he had just made the biggest mistake of his career. The war room was a frenzy of screens, radios, and officers shouting over each other as an Allied convoy went dark somewhere along the border. Carter, young and newly promoted, believed he had everything under control, until she walked in. A civilian, he thought at first. Small, quiet, tucked behind thick glasses and wearing a plain Navy uniform with no rank displayed. She moved to the operational map with a certainty that annoyed him, and when she shifted a marker without asking, Carter snapped. He turned, barked, "Don't touch that," and when she didn't step back, his hand hit her shoulder hard enough to send a gasp through the room. Everything froze. The woman didn't stumble, didn't wince. She simply raised her head, slowly, like a mountain coming into view after a storm, and stared at him as if she were measuring the weight of his soul. Commander Briggs was the first to break the silence. He stormed in from the hallway, his voice booming with authority. "Lieutenant Hayes, step back." Carter did, confused. Why was the commander looking pale? Why was everyone staring at the woman like she was a legend? Briggs turned to her with a tight, respectful nod. "Chief Kira Lawson, we weren't expecting you so soon." The name hit Carter like a punch. Chief, not civilian, not logistics assistant, not some analyst wandering in by mistake. Chief Petty Officer. And then another word that made his stomach drop. SEAL. Kira Lawson was part of a classified all-weather insertion team, rarely seen on base, never acknowledged in public. Whispers of her missions traveled like myths: rescue operations in impossible terrain, hostage retrievals in collapsing buildings, tracking insurgents through miles of labyrinthine mountains. Some called her the Ghost. Others said she led a unit that did not officially exist. Carter's mouth tasted like sand as she turned fully toward him. Her expression was unreadable. No anger, no insult, just a terrifying neutrality. "Are you finished?" she asked softly. He felt his throat tighten. I didn't know who you were." She stepped forward, her voice steady. "If the identity changed your behavior, then the behavior was the problem." Her words cut deeper than any reprimand. And yet she didn't dwell on it, didn't humiliate him. Instead, she pointed to the convoy location. "We're wasting time. They're alive, but not for long." Hours later, after she rebuilt the operation plan the way one might reconstruct a shattered puzzle, Carter found himself assigned to her infiltration team. Commander Briggs didn't even try to hide the lesson. "You want to understand what leadership looks like, Lieutenant? Stick by her. Learn something." Carter didn't argue. He owed her more than one apology, and he knew words wouldn't be enough. The mission began under the cover of night, with a cold wind sweeping across the desert like a warning. Kira led the way, her movements efficient and nearly silent. She briefed the team while adjusting her gear, her tone calm but urgent. "The convoy was ambushed and taken into a canyon. Hostiles are moving them on foot. Our job is to extract them before they cross the border. You listen, you move, you don't improvise. Stay alive, stay smart." Carter stayed close, every step heavy with guilt and determination. Watching her work was like watching a storm, powerful, focused, relentless. But there was something else too. Something softer. When she spoke to frightened civilians they encountered along the route, she used a tone so gentle it stunned him. When one of the younger soldiers stumbled, she steadied him with a quiet, "I've got you," as if she carried the weight of everyone's survival on her own shoulders. They reached the canyon at dawn, sunlight slicing through the narrow walls. The enemy camp was hidden in the shadows below, guards circling the captured convoy personnel. Kira surveyed the scene, calculating angles, patrol patterns, terrain. Then she turned to Carter. "You take left ridge with me." The word surprised him. After what he'd done, he expected her to keep him at a distance. She must have seen the confusion in his eyes, because she added, "You want to make things right. Start now." He nodded, heart pounding. The assault unfolded with surgical precision. Kira moved like a phantom, neutralizing threats with quiet efficiency. Carter followed her lead, covering angles she pointed to, trusting her instincts more than his own. When a group of hostiles flanked the team, Kira shoved Carter behind a rock and took the bullets meant for both of them, armor catching the impact with a violent crack. "You okay?" Carter whispered, panic surging. She breathed out sharply. I've had worse. Keep moving. Together they pushed forward, breaking through the enemy line until the final hostiles surrendered. The convoy personnel were freed, exhausted but alive. Relief washed over the team, but Carter was staring only at Kira. Why did you take that hit for me? He asked quietly as they regrouped. She looked at him like she was seeing the real question beneath the words. Because you're part of the team. And because people deserve the chance to be better than their worst moment. Carter felt something inside him crack open. The shame he'd held since striking her finally found air. I'm so sorry. I never. She raised a hand, not to stop him, but to steady him. Grow from it. That's enough. When they returned to base, the commanders filed reports, the convoy survivors sent messages of gratitude, and life slowly resumed its rhythm. But for Carter Hayes, everything had changed. Not because he had met a legend, not because he had seen what a true warrior looked like, but because Kira Lawson showed him what strength really was. Quiet, steady, compassionate, unflinching. Months later, when he earned his next promotion, he found her leaning against a wall, arms crossed, watching him with a small, rare smile. You're doing better, she said. I had a good teacher, he replied. She shrugged. You had the potential. You just needed a wake-up call. He hesitated, then asked, do you ever forgive yourself for the things you regret? All humor faded from her face. She nodded slowly. Only when I turn them into something worth remembering. Carter carried those words with him for the rest of his life, a reminder of the moment he learned what courage truly meant. Not in the man he thought he was when he walked into that war room, but in the woman he never should have underestimated. Chief Petty Officer Kira Lawson, the Navy SEAL who showed him that the strongest people are often the quietest ones, and that the measure of a leader is not how loudly they command, but how deeply they lift others. And in the end, he realized something profound. The hit he struck had not defined him. What he did afterward did.